You pointed it out. Like, who's most likely to be traded? She didn't even think of Draymond Green.
No.
And I agree with her. Like, by the way, we talk about it a lot. I know that some of you salivate at the idea because of your frustration. I firmly believe it's not happening.
Well, I think if you did like an odds on trade or no trade of anybody, they're more likely to not make a trade than they are to make a trade, I think.
Like, all of the potential deals are difficult. They do not have players who people are like dying for, except for as a young asset type of a situation, or if you really want to reboot financially, and then you maybe would want Klay Thompson or something like that. But it's all very situational. And to find the Warriors situation and another team situation and have those two puzzle pieces fit together, I think is very challenging right now.
Depends on what other teams think about a former number 1 overall pick who has shown flashes of all-star, and he's an NBA champion.
Yep.
If you feel like it might be a change of pace for Andrew Wiggins that gets him going again, and if you look at Moses Moody, a guy who is largely buried in the rotation where he's not getting consistent minutes, if you're a team that has a veteran who maybe is expiring, who's a good player, he's a rotational piece, not a star, but somebody who could come in with the other vets. You trade Wiggins and Moody, and you part with about $28, $29 million, and you get a $30 million guy back who might be expiring, somebody who's in their early to mid-30s who can help you right now. That's the kind of trade I could see them making.
Well, here's what I think is really at issue for the Warriors. If I'm familiar at all with the way that they are thinking, like if we remove all of our emotions, the fan stuff, I'm mad at Draymond. Okay, the Warriors, I'm sure are. They're exhausted, but they also still love Draymond and still feel like they need Draymond. If we really remove the emotion, I think what the Warriors are trying to assess in short order is this. Can Kuminga and Wiggins play together? That's the question. It's not so much about win now, win in the future. It's about those two guys because they're both in their 20s. They're both are going to be here for a while, potentially. And they're similar in terms of their position and their skill set. Defenders, athletes, at times scorers. So if that feels redundant, or if it feels like, and we know the analytics have shown us this so far, that they just can't really be successful together, well, you got to move one. I don't know which one you want to move. That's up to the organization. You have one that is the promise of some future things.
Yeah.
You have another who's already achieved it, but is maddening and just like mysteriously inconsistent. And I don't know which one the Warriors think is going to be a better basketball player 2 years from now.
Well, it depends on who you think is going to be a better player 5 years from now in terms of Jonathan Kuminga. If you think that Jonathan Kuminga has upside that will warrant a contract along the lines of what Jordan Poole got, maybe not that much money, but a Jordan Poole kind of deal where at the end of this year you give Kuminga 4 years, which means he's here for 5 more because he's got 1 more year in his current deal. You give Kuminga 4 years and $100 million. You give Kuminga the Draymond deal and say, you know what, Jonathan, we believe that when you turn 27 at the end of this next contract, you're going to be an NBA All-Star or damn close to an NBA All-Star. We think that you can be a centerpiece of the post-Steph era because in 5 years, Steph Curry's going to be 40. And if he still is playing, if he's still a Warrior, he's probably not averaging 30 a night. If he is, well then, darn it, you might be the greatest player of all time.
Seriously.
You are Tom Brady. But if you're planning for 5 years from now, Andrew Wiggins is signed for 3 more years. So is Andrew Wiggins able to get back to what he was a couple of years ago? If you think that answer is yes, then you keep Andrew Wiggins because he's a guy at his best who is he's two-way Wiggs. Everyone, remember the two-way Wiggs years?
Oh, come on.
I mean, it's been a long time since he's been two-way Wiggs.
Wiggins, everybody loved this guy. Everybody loved him until
not everybody.
Until
I had a whole bit on Andrew
I know
Wiggins.
you did, but Q rating January last year ago. Go back 1 year. Oh my God.
Was he playing last January?
No, I think that's when he left.
Okay.
January, February, somewhere in there.
You're probably right.
Go back 12 months. Guy was having a good start to the year, and he had just been the second best player on a championship squad and an all-star. Dude, he was loved. Everybody was all in on Andrew. So I look at this still, and I know this is stupid optimism, but I wonder if the Warriors do think this way. Play this game in your mind. Best case scenario for everybody.
I don't do that, Mark.
I know you don't. So tell Kendra. That's why we don't get along. No, this is every single one of these players is the best version of themselves by the time we get to April. Draymond comes in, and there's no more punching. Andrew Wiggins finds it. Kuminga continues to develop. Klay Thompson's shot is on. His shot discernment is also on. Steph is Steph. The process of those players all playing together turns Kevon back into Kevon. And then you dot the whole thing with your role players who are all doing their thing, from Pajemski to TJD to Moody. GP2 gets healthy. And when you need Chris Paul to come in and make sure that the ball doesn't get turned over, he's there for you with limited minutes and a healthy body. If all of that were to happen, which is ludicrous.
Right. Luda.
But if all of that were to happen, what do you have?
You got a good team.
Okay.
Probably not a championship team.
Fine.
You can win a round, maybe 2 rounds. You're not beating the best in the West, and you're not winning the NBA title, I don't think.
I still think that's what the Warriors will trade for at the deadline. That ridiculous though it may be.
Very ridiculous.
Hope.
You're asking for about 12 things to break right. And of the 12 right now, the only one that you can really count on is Steph being Steph.
It's no crazier than the idea of getting Pascal Siakam and winning in June. That's crazy too.
I think it's less crazy to think about getting a better player for your broken team.